Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another interesting combination that I think has the potential to give us a really nice looking pattern. We know these shells have some pretty solid potential, but I think they still need a little bit of fine tuning, and we know this choke is a good performer as well, so putting the two of them together might give us exactly what we're looking for. But as for the shells we've got today, I brought out some more of the Apex Turkey Ninja loads. These ones are the 28 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, ounce and 3/8 payload of TSS 8.5 shot, moving about 1,040 feet per second. We've tested these a couple of times with some pretty solid results, but they've always been a little bit splotchy or a little bit oblong shape of a pattern or something like that. So I still don't think we found the perfect choke combo for them just yet, but maybe today's combo might be what they really like. So we'll see what we can get from them. And as for the shotgun combo we've got to run them through today, I brought out my Tristar Viper 28 gauge. This has been a really solid performer, so we know it's got good potential, but the choke we've got in it today is the Patternmaster Code Black Turkey. It's a 515 constriction, so we'll see how it can do with these Apex Ninjas, since so far kind of seems like that 8.5 shot prefers the 520-ish constriction choke range, so we'll see what the Patternmaster 515 can give us. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how the Apex Ninja 8.5 28 gauges do through this Patternmaster 515. Should look pretty good, but I'm curious to see if this is the choke combo that they really like or not. So let's take our shot and see what kind of a pattern it gives us. Alright, so that shell gave us 1112 through the chronograph. The boss claim is 1040, and this is a little surprising considering we typically have been seeing right around the 1,000 feet per second mark from these shells. So was that particular shell just loaded the slightest little bit hotter than the rest? I don't know. It didn't feel or sound any different than they typically do, but we did see more than their advertised boss claim. But I'd say we're looking perfectly fine for a velocity overall. We're definitely not pushing them too fast. But what kind of a pattern did they give us down there at 40 through that Patternmaster 515? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard target, and this is what we got. And yeah, we absolutely have a dead turkey there all day long, even though our core favored just a touch to the right, but that is a nasty looking pattern for a 28 gauge. I mean, everything is right there within probably, I don't know, a 13-inch circle maybe. You have a really nasty tight core right there that is pretty nice and even, especially right there just below the tip of that bird's beak. So yeah, that right there is completely devastating. Around the edges, we might have a little bit of straggly stuff right up here at the top corner of the turkey paper, and we do have a couple of flyers, maybe one or two over there off the right, and maybe a couple over here off the left edge and the bottom right there as well. So a couple of flyers to deal with, but that right there is a tight pattern, and that is another one that might be on the verge of being too tight for some people. Sure, I think we favored a touch to the right on this, and we do still have a dead bird, so it does give you a little bit of leeway to work with, but even at 40 yards, that's not a whole lot. I mean, that turkey paper is 12 inches wide, and if that pattern was centered up an inch farther to the left, we really probably wouldn't have very many pellets off of that 12-inch wide turkey paper. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. That is easily the best pattern we've gotten from these shells so far, without a doubt. They did pretty decently through the TrueLock 515 we tested them through, and they did even better through the Carlson's 520 that we tested them in, but man, it really seems like they like that Patternmaster 515. We were having some issues with some splotchiness with these shells and some odd shaped patterns, and we really didn't see that here at all. That is a very nice and even core area. The only very slight nitpicky splotchy area is that top right corner just off that edge of that turkey paper. But are those handful of pellets up there going to make a difference when your pattern looks like that? Absolutely not. So I think it's pretty obvious to say that that would be completely devastating, and I don't think we can argue one bit with that kind of a performance. I wouldn't hesitate to take that out on a turkey hunt, but I will say if you get a bird in at 20 or 25 yards with that and you got to take a little bit of an awkward angle shot or something, there is a real possibility you might miss that turkey, because that pattern is going to be a straight up baseball at that kind of range. So this is a 35 plus yard type of pattern. If you're a field hunter that's going to be taking 35, 40, 45 yard shots and you want to hunt with a 28 gauge, that right there would absolutely absolutely do it. It's 8.5 shot as well, which will get you a little bit more energy out there at those little bit farther ranges than a 9 shot would. It's minimal, but it might make the difference. If you have to take something like a 50-yard shot, that right there is more than capable of doing it, no doubt. So for a 28 gauge pattern, that is super impressive, and I don't think we have a whole lot to complain about there. I think that pretty well speaks for itself. Can't argue with that kind of a result. And here's the wad from that shell. Very typical Apex type of stuff here. Nothing fancy about it. It kind of does look like we might have snagged just a touch on the very tip of these pedals, but clearly I don't think it made one bit of a difference for us. There's nothing stuck down in there, and there's no major damage to anything, so looks perfectly fine overall, and clearly it did its job about as good as you could ever ask it to. So nothing strange to see here when it comes to the wad. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that performance right there? That is absolutely nasty for a 28 gauge. You just can't argue with that kind of performance. I expected a pretty decent pattern coming into it here. We know those Apex shells are some pretty good performers, but I didn't know if that 515 Patternmaster was going to be the ticket for them. But clearly, I think it is. I don't know that you can really get a whole lot better out of it than that. So yeah, that is completely devastating. And it's honestly maybe a little too tight for a lot of people. I like that pattern, but man, if I were to hunt with it, I'd probably want to keep my birds out past that 30-yard range, because that's going to be tight inside of that. So I guess leave all your thoughts down in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 28 gauge Apex Ninja shells? Or have you run them through a Patternmaster 515? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Would you hunt with that pattern, or is it a little bit too tight for you? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see us run in that 28 gauge with either those Ninja shells or that 515 Patternmaster? Let me know all that down below. At the end of the day, if there's a pattern that can speak for itself, it's probably that one, because that is a very impressive performer, no doubt about it. And it seems like these Tristar 28 gauges are some pretty solid performers. So if you're one of the guys that is thinking about getting something in 28 gauge, then a Tristar might not be a terrible option for you. I've been really impressed with mine so far, so I would say don't overlook them if you find the right one, because if it can get you results like that, I don't know that there's much more you can really ask for out of a 28 gauge. So yeah, super impressive. Definitely no complaints from me on that performance at all. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.